Hi, Laura.
Hi, Brittany.
And welcome, everyone, to another episode of No Shelf Control, an Essex County Library podcast.
And this is lucky episode number 7.
7 is my favorite number, Laura.
Well, then this is going to be extra good.
I think this is going to be a great episode.
It's always a great episode.
That's true. We have
according to your mom.
According to my mother, they're all great episodes.
There's your shout-out melody.
There you go. I feel like it's like good juju now to mention my mother on this podcast.
We must do this.
It has to happen. So this is episode 7. We are, to kind of like put everyone in perspective, we just hit stage 1 in Ontario. So stores are opening. It is hot, like really hot outside, like really humid hot outside. So what's going on in our lives?
What's going on with you? Because we know there's never anything going on with me.
Laura is a homebody. I am a homebody too. But I did have... So In the Heights came out to everyone. For those who maybe don't know what that is, it is a Broadway play that was turned into a movie, and it was just released yesterday in where I'm sitting currently. And this was the first musical that Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote. And if you know that name, of course, you know he is the creator of Hamilton. So I was very excited to watch it. And we decided to make it a little bit of a special viewing. We got a projector and we got a big screen. And we hooked it up to our speaker. And we had a little bit of a movie theater, movie night experience in our own home.
I love that idea. I think it's the best idea, and I'm going to borrow that idea at my house.
Yeah, it was awesome. We made special snacks like dips, and we made like a little charcuterie board with meat and cheese, and my dad made this pizza dip that he got off the internet, and it was awesome. It was like a great time.
That's awesome. I got a projector before Halloween. And when we were talking earlier, I just remembered that I'd gotten it. So I want to set this up outside for the next one. So my kids are very excited to see Black Widow. Yes. And I want to do that. I'd like to go to the drive-in. So there's a drive-in in Tilbury, which I love the drive-in. I think it's really fun. But we don't always want to drive home because I'm tired. Well, first of all, you don't want to drive there because you're tired.
Yeah.
And you don't want to drive home afterwards. So I'm thinking I might set this up on my porch. I think that'd be really fun. And then if the kids want to have somebody over, like we don't have to watch it in the house if not everybody is comfortable with being in our house. And then I don't have to clean my house.
Amen.
And we can just watch it outside.
And you know what, Laura? So my pool got delivered last week. And so now we're getting ready for the install. And I'm just picturing the days of having the pool out and hanging outside, and putting the projector outside would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. I'm still working on getting our yard back to... Not fun.
One summer, Laura, we watched, when we were leaving our home in Essex, we watched Jaws on a projector while we were in the pool swimming.
So I have never in my entire life watched Jaws.
What?
Yeah, I'm serious.
No.
Never. I don't know why.
It's a classic.
I know. I've never watched it.
Wow.
It's on my to-watch list.
You know, you can put it close to the bottom. The best thing about Jaws is the soundtrack. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Oh, well, I already know that.
Okay, great. So don't worry about it. But we wanted to experience the whole sitting in the water when the whole na-na starts coming on. And it was creepy. 2 people left the pool. They couldn't do it.
I think that's funny. Maybe that's what I should put as my ringtone on my phone.
Oh.
That's a good one. I've been trying out new ringtones. As Brittany well knows, I now have like R2-D2 screaming when I get a text, and it's the best thing ever.
It's pretty awesome. But I'm still voting for the Imperial March.
Yeah, I think that's what we have to do.
So it's going to have to be. Yeah.
That's the excitement of my life right now, listeners, is my new text tone, R2-D2 going, woo! That's how exciting I am.
It's the little things.
It is. That and like cleaning my yard up. So that's it. That's all I got. That's all I've got for... Actually, I will tell you, I'm doing something actually interesting, and this is like for self-betterment, Brittany. I signed up for an online course through the University of Alberta, and it's called Indigenous Canada.
That's that one that Dan Levy talked about.
Oh, well, then we know I'm doing things right if Dan Levy talked about it.
Absolutely, he did. He took it himself.
I didn't know that. Yeah, so it's a 12-week course, and it's free. So if that's something that interests you, just Google it, and you can sign up for it. It's really very interesting, and it's just you pack some time into your week, set it aside, and you watch the lectures and whatnot, and there you go. Like I say, I think it's self-betterment, and I think it's a good thing for all the people of Canada to do.
Absolutely, especially after the news that we have so recently learned this month.
Which takes us to our hot topic for this week's episode, which is Indigenous history.
Yeah, so it's Indigenous History Month. It shares with Pride Month, which is great. And this Indigenous History Month has been, heavier than most because, of course, of the recent discovery of 215 bones of children found under a residential school in British Columbia.
Yeah. So this is a lot more, it's always a sensitive topic, but it's a super important topic. So we hope that we can give you a little insight into things. We're not experts on this topic by any means, but our jobs are to help educate people and to help people find books and find information to educate themselves. So we've taken a lot of time in the last couple months since we put together the idea for this podcast to try and find things to recommend to our patrons and now to our listeners to be able to hear different voices and to learn about Indigenous history, things that you didn't know or ways that you can do things better.
Absolutely. And as we are not experts on this topic, we have brought in a special guest for this episode. I'm just going to preface this interview by saying that this interview was done in May, and it was done before the children were discovered. But otherwise, I still think it's an amazing, amazing interview, and I know me and Laura were so honored that he would come out and speak with us.
Daryl is a member of the Caldwell Nation. He was a wonderful person, and he was so giving of his time to come and talk to us. Well, to not come here and talk to us, but to talk to us online and give us time and tell us all kinds of things. He's a wonderful person, and I hope we can work with him some more.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to bring Daryl and more voices like Daryl into our library.
Exactly. And the library is for everyone, so take a listen.
Hello,
to
everyone.
Our interview with Daryl Van Orshot.
We have a very special
the
guest with
Caldwell
us
Nation.
again today. We're getting all these special guests, Brittany. This is very exciting.
We're pretty special.
Yes, we are. We're no journalists. We're just librarians, and we're talking to people in community because librarians like to educate, right?
Absolutely.
And this episode is celebrating Indigenous History Month, and neither you nor I are part of that community. So we need someone part of the community to teach us about it so that we can celebrate properly. And so we have today a member of the Caldwell First Nation, which they are in the Leamington area. So we're very excited to welcome Daryl Van Orshot to the podcast today. Hi, Daryl.
Welcome, Daryl.
Hello, ladies. I'm going to first introduce myself to you in our language because that's what we're taught. So, Daryl Van Orshot Indigenous, Caldwell First Nation in Donjaba, Makanakandao, Shaganashina Jina. So what I've said is, my name's Daryl Van Orshot. I'm from Caldwell First Nation. I'm of the Turtle Clan, and now I'll speak in your language. And that's just, we've always been taught that we start with our language to make sure we're, creators hearing us and that we are here in a good way. So thank you for having me. I'm really excited, but I'm just going to say one small thing. Was never introduce yourselves as only librarians, because I think we need to celebrate you ladies as well. I'm a big fan of books. I'm a big fan of the library. So don't downgrade what you do, because I think you're amazing.
Thank you, Daryl. We really appreciate that. I loved that greeting. This is amazing.
Yeah, this is awesome. I feel like I'm really excited to learn, for you to tell us what's going on, because I know there's some exciting things going on. And
so we're excited too. I mean, Caldwell First Nation is in such a unique position right now, and it's so exciting. We just attained our reserve status in November of 2020. So that's just over 6 months ago, we finally got that status that we've been waiting for over 230 years to attain.
Wow.
So that's a big, big thing for us. And it gives us a lot of pride to be able to say we're putting our roots down back where our ancestors had our roots, or their roots. And this is home, and we're part of a beautiful multicultural community that we want to continue to be part of. So we're part of that carousel of nations in Windsor, Essex. We want to continue being part of this vibrant community, and we're so excited to.
That is amazing, Daryl. Tell us more about the Caldwell First Nations. For any of our listeners who've never heard of you.
Well, I'm going to start with a small thing. For us, it's a big thing, but I'm going to say for the general society, a lot of people didn't know that we were here because of. We know for sure that on documented paper, we were here before the 1700s. But again, being an oral tradition society, we didn't have those documents to prove those things before that until, documents came in through government and things like that. However, because we're doing a lot of archaeological digs in the area and there's things like that going on, those things become our teachers. And we're excited to say we now know for sure we've been here for 13,000 years and longer. That artifacts and crops and things have been discovered that prove that, yes, this is our home. We have never left. So the strength and the resilience of our nation is quite clear that way. We allied with the British in the War of 1812, fighting alongside William Caldwell at the time, which would have been eventually Colonel Caldwell. So we did ally with the British, but that's because we had to. We had no option. It was do we ally with one side or the other? How are we going to retain our homeland, our culture, our traditions? And the British promised us if we allied with them, all of those things would be still ours to practice and to live on the land that we've always lived on. Obviously, due to deaths and unfulfilled promises, we did not see those promises fulfilled until 2020. However, our people have tried, a good contingent of our people have continually stayed in this area as a strength, reminding us that this has always been our home. And though it took us many years of fighting to get here, it's been acknowledged that, yes, it is, and we're home. And I look forward to the day that the community can come together and be part of this community. And as we're more strong, doesn't matter who we are, you're more strong united. So we're looking forward to that day when we can see a lot of our people come home and be on reserve here in this area and, be part of the economic development, be part of the growth of the area and just be part of the community. So, the War of 1812 was a big deal for us. That's actually where we got our name. We fighting alongside of William Caldwell. We became known as Caldwell's Band of Indians. And before that, we were known as the Chippewas of Point Pelee and Pelee Island. So those names kind of became interchangeable in documents, and then Caldwell First Nation kind of stuck. So officially, we are Caldwell First Nation, and again, that's just an honor or an acknowledgement of our ties to that War of 1812.
That's amazing. I didn't know any of that, Daryl. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Again, I'm very happy to share those things with anyone. I have a passion for my nation. Our youth bring me such pride. I have no ability to even explain. Our youth are working very much on getting back to those traditions of being stewards of the land, of reminding of our responsibilities to the Creator, that we are supposed to be taking care of all creatures that dwell within the land, air, and water. That includes other people. So we believe that we're all tied together back in a single string back to the original man and woman, Mother Earth and the original man, and that we're all brothers and sisters tied together, and the only thing that separates us is a language. And that is the only barrier we should have to overcome. So that's, I try to instill that and remind our youth of who we are as a people. We are inclusive. We are welcoming. And we need to get back to those traditions. So that's what our youth are really pushing forward on now is inclusivity and reminding ourselves to be stewards and to lead by example.
I think one of the great things about youth right now is this push for inclusivity, right? Like they just keep raising the bar higher and higher, and I think that's only a good thing.
Absolutely. Again, our youth, they make me so proud. I could talk honestly for an hour just about our youth. Some of the initiatives they're working on are just brilliant. They're making us as a nation lead the way as a green nation. So that means they've put in place things like in our main hall, no more one-time use dishes or cutlery or any of the above. Dishes, Corel dishes were bought, 200 sets, I believe, and a dishwasher and sanitizer. And now anything that happens there must be done on real dishes, reusable, washable, better for the environment. So they are, as a youth committee, making sure our carbon footprint as a nation gets smaller every day.
That's amazing. That is so awesome to hear. I love that.
That goes right to the development on reserve as we start moving toward developing housing and things like that. We're looking at carbon neutral, net zero housing. So again, these are things pushed forward by the youth that we have the unique ability to start from scratch and build our own reserves. So they want to be the gold standard for green all across the board, green energy, green spaces, recycling and reusing and reducing that carbon footprint. So yes, our youth are going to be the leaders. Obviously, they're going to be the ones running the nation in not too many years. So giving them the power to start putting those things forward now is just amazing.
Yeah, that's how you empower the youth, right? So that they know that you're listening and the things that they say matter. And this is, I love that that's how you're all embracing that. That's how you make leaders of tomorrow, is that you don't discount them today, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I will say, the one other thing that they're working towards right now and that they're really pushing is our youth advisory committee is pushing for Lake Erie to get personhood status, which would provide Lake Erie with an immense amount of more protection.
And we've been seeing that across Canada, more
Yes,
and more of our natural resources getting personhood status. And I think that's just amazing.
So yes, our youth are working toward that right now. They're actually going to be partnering with the Lake Erie community of paddlers or working with them on an event in August, again, about educating and protecting Lake Erie. And so, yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's worthwhile. And it's also, reminds me of why I do what I do. So, yeah, our youth, having meetings with them and getting to be part of what they're doing is really pushing me to be a better staff member all around and a better member of the nation.
Amazing.
That's so awesome.
Darryl, can you tell us, is there any initiatives or things you would like the public to know that we can do to support the Caldwell Nation?
This is part of it. I love being able to do these things where people get to ask questions. So I'd be happy to come back anytime if you're ever doing a Zoom where people want to sit and ask questions. Unfortunately, a lot of Canada doesn't know much about the First Nations in Canada. So, if you think pre-colonization, before, let's say before Columbus came here to North America, we're talking, 100% of North America was occupied by First Nations people, or the resources were used by First Nations people. And in 2021, all of the First Nations people of Canada occupy less than 1% of the continent. So that, that really tells you where the difference has gone in over the last few thousand years. And it's just people don't know necessarily those histories and those things that went on. And I always try to educate, because education and remembering history is going to make sure we don't repeat those histories. And I try, again, we as First Nations people are very strong, very proud people who unfortunately, due to atrocities in the past, have been victimized. But I am a firm believer that we are still strong and proud people. We do not need to live as victims. And it is now time, in this time of truth and reconciliation, it's really time for us to be proud of who we are, where we come from, and to be proud of being part of such a great country. What's happened to our people in the past can't be taken away. It can't be denied, but we have a beautiful future to work towards when we unite as one race of humanity. And I think that's a big reminder that we all go back to the same beginnings. And instead of focusing on all the differences between each other, if we started really looking at the similarities and what makes us all human, I think this world is headed for a better place.
That just gave me chills.
I just
really
real goosebumps, like the
Mhm.
feeling of hope in your message of looking at the better tomorrow, I think is so, it's so uplifting, Daryl. I love it.
And again, you know, it's I don't want to take away from those things that happened in the past, because they are there and they're horrible. But I see our youth working toward a future that honors the past and looks to a better future. And again, that's not just for us as First Nations, that's for all of humanity. It's uniting and reminding each other that we are all brothers, we're all sisters, we're all related. Why do we need to fight over things? We should be sharing. So again, that's a youth message from our youth that is always put forward in our meetings, that how can we make this more inclusive? How can we involve the general public and not just our nation? So our youth are constantly trying to remind us and to move toward that future where everyone is, reminding each other we're all on the same level. Nobody's better than another. No one route is going to be better than the other. You know, that's in our teachings as well. You don't question the teachings of another nation or another tribe or another group of people. Their teachings and your teachings at some point are going to tie together.
Absolutely. I think education and the work you're doing here, even with us, Daryl, is so important, because I think education is how you honor, what happened, like the history that we've had, and but still letting us move towards, a better tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah. And I mean, we live in a beautiful world, and we can all focus on negative. I mean, there's negative things that happen every day. But as Indigenous people, we traditionally lived in a very grateful, thankful way, thankful for everything good. We gave thanks to every plant that we harvested. We said thank you for that plant to keep us sustained. For every animal that was killed, we did a thank you, gratitude to the spirit of that animal, gratitude to Creator for giving us the ability to sustain ourselves through those things. And I think if, as people, we start living in that grateful mindset again, things will change. I don't allow, if I had one bad thing happen this morning, why would I let that ruin my entire day when I have so much more to be grateful and thankful for? That one small negative thing should not take over for all of the amazing things we do have.
And there's so much science coming out about the idea, the power of gratitude and the power of happiness, and how it makes you a better person, and the way that you think about things does have a direct effect on your day. So I think that's very, very worthy to think in thoughts of gratitude and things in the idea of how can I find happiness and that sort of thing.
Actually, one of the quotes I use with the youth, and I believe if I'm using it right, it was Eleanor Roosevelt who said it, but that's something I remind the youth of, is no one can make you feel inferior without your permission. Absolutely. Don't give them that permission. That's something I'm pushing on our youth a lot, and I will probably say it at least once every 2 or 3 meetings, is, you're allowing somebody to take your power away. And as youth, I don't think our youth realize how powerful they truly are. Their voices, their strength, their commitment to inclusivity. There's a lot of power in that. And I think if we continue to encourage and mentor our youth, the future is going to be a lot better than what we grew up in.
I am certainly excited for our future.
Oh, I
can say, with the youth that's coming out, with the youth of Caldwell Nation and the youth that you're seeing come today, like, I think they're, as I said before, I think they're just, they're ready for the fight, and they're ready for the good fight. Absolutely.
Now there's something else I'm working with the youth on. This is a smaller thing, but with the Carousel of Nations not being able to be in person this year, for Aboriginal Day through the Carousel of Nations, we are going to do something that's never been tried. We're going to have our Youth Advisory Committee and myself and the other staff member who works with the Youth Advisory Committee, Kaylee Alexander. We're going to do a Zoom meeting with all of, every village of the Carousel will send a couple youth, and we're going to have a full discussion about what questions do you have about First Nations. What do you want to know that you've never known, or what questions did you always want to ask but were afraid to? This is your safe time to do that. We want to give you those answers. So through our youth advisory and myself, we are going to try this for the first time, where we're going to give people the opportunity to ask questions. Before the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years, there was no Aboriginal education in Canada in the general schooling system. So, we're moving towards something where the country is going to learn more about who First Nations are, but we're going to take that step on for the Carousel of Nations online. We're going to do something this year that allows people to ask those questions.
That's awesome. And that sounds like Brittany and I are going to write this down. That sounds like a possible library program for down the road, Daryl. So don't be surprised if we contact you again.
You might hear from us again.
Never feel bad about contacting me. Like I'll just say it out loud. I'm a nerd.
Well, so are we. It's okay.
You're gonna fit right in.
Yeah, I love books. I love the library. In fact, last year I had to go through my house and I donated 7,000 books to different shops in the area because I have an addiction and I just buy and buy and collect and buy and collect. And I think, am I going to read that again, or will somebody else get use out of it? So finally, over 7,000 books I donated last year.
That is some control, Daryl, because let me tell you, you can't pry books out of my hand, and I buy a lot of books, Daryl. So I am so impressed.
I do have, I've got my big collections that I will never allow to shrink. I probably own 100 books on World War II. I probably own 100 books on shipwrecks and disasters. I'm very much into those kind of things. So, there's collections I have that I won't get rid of, but
while we're on the topic of book, Daryl, is there any that you would recommend to us to read? We're really trying to focus on Indigenous voices and some Indigenous reads. Is there anything you would recommend?
For the younger group, there's a book called The Mishomis Book.
Okay.
And that has some of our the Ojibwe creation story and, the Great Flood and things like that are traditional stories that have been passed down through oral tradition that are, put into a book. And I think, especially for people who are raised, in that Christian or lifestyle, it's a very, I almost want to say jarring, because our stories are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I often say things like, who am I to say that who I know as creator isn't the same as who you might know as God? I don't know that. What I do know is that the stories we have of our creation and the stories from the Bible, there are some serious similarities, so that is written, that parents and the younger kids could actually read through that together. It's written for a younger group, but it's also, I still read it occasionally when I'm doing some of my stuff. So it's a great one. Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee.
Okay.
That was gifted to me, I'm going to say about 10 years ago. And it was the first book I've ever read that really touched on some of the atrocities that Indigenous people did go through in the 1800s. That one, actually, it took me, I think, 5 reads to get through it. Once the tears started, or I started to get emotional, I had to close the book and move away from it.
Mm-hmm.
That one it's an eye-opener. It definitely would give you some, I think a lot of people just don't know what happened. And I think a little bit of honesty about the past, those atrocities, unfortunately, as horrible as they are, there is truth in them, and they need to be understood. So those ones, and then another one, and I can't think of who wrote it. This is terrible to me. Is the Inconvenient Indian.
Oh, that one's good. I read that one.
I think that's Thomas King, isn't it?
Yes, it is Thomas King. Thank you. And again, that one was another one that made me very emotional. And then there's also documentaries. There's a great documentary about the residential school that is called We Were Children.
Okay.
Now that's from one of the Alberta residential schools, but it's told from the perspective of a male survivor and a female survivor. And it is, I would say, maybe not for the younger crowd, because there are obviously some things that went on that maybe the younger kids don't need to know about.
Mm-hmm.
but it is again one of those documentaries that it's hard hitting. It'll definitely make you think about humanity and where we're hopefully headed as opposed to where we've come from.
Yeah. And to not repeat the past, right? Like that's to me is important part of history is you need to educate yourself on what happened so you make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. I think there's a quote about that as well. I think it was those who forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And that is, again, I like to make sure when anybody asks me about our history, I try to give as much information as I can. First Nations have been kept to themselves in general since colonization, and I think opening ourselves up again and being part of the community at large and allowing for that back and forth education and communication is a big part of truth and reconciliation in Canada.
Yeah, that's totally. I love. Yeah,
It's amazing.
it is.
You've been amazing, Daryl. Is there anything else you'd like to talk to us about before we?
Oh, I want to ask you about what's going on because I know there's exciting things coming for the nation. They've got all kinds of plans. I have been following it in all the stories, so I would love for you to tell me a little bit.
Now, I don't know everything. I wish I did, but again, the council they work toward the future of the nation. They're for economic development, for programming. The council's been great for. I'm part of the ECDev team. I kind of am a cross between the economic development and the cultural department. So I'm lucky enough that I get to do these things, but I also get to help design events, design experiences, things that we're going to be able to do for the general public, especially as COVID hopefully ends soon and we'll be able to do more. Obviously, our restaurant, Three Fires, is going up. So that is going to be the largest Indigenous restaurant in the world.
I'm so excited about that. This is very exciting. I saw the picture. It's gorgeous.
Anytime we talk about food, I get very, very involved. You're going to see me there.
And same. Like I've said many times. I said, we're going to have the opportunity to highlight some of those, using real traditional herbs and real plants and things that, like for example, plantain leaves that you find in the backyard. Things that we can do with those they're so good for you, and yet they just become a weed that nobody even really cares about. So we're going to be able to highlight a lot of those things through Chef Alexander and through Three Fires. So that's a big development we're working on. Obviously, once we will put shoveling ground and start building homes for so that some of our people can actually come home and proudly say that they were the first generation to be able to live on Caldwell's reserve that took us so many years to get. So there's a lot of exciting things coming that way. We also have Point Pelee. We have an amazing partnership with them. So we have Madbin Jinnah at Point Pelee has been it used to be called Pioneer. It's now been renamed to Madbin Jinnah, which means come sit a while in our language, which is how we invited when the settlers came. That's exactly what we would have done, is said, come sit a while, sit at the fire, warm up, have a cup of tea, have something to eat. Again, it's about that inclusivity and welcoming. So it's now called Madbin Jinnah to re-welcome everyone who comes to Point Pelee to say, come sit a while in our territory, come see where we've always been lucky enough to live. So that's an exciting one as well. Madbin Jinnah, we are able to do ceremony there, and we do a lot of things in conjunction with the park. So that's a beautiful partnership we have as well. We have our youth advisory committee working with Pelee Island Community Arts. They're working toward some amazing sculpture and other developments on the island to, represent Caldwell First Nation and our land stewardship as well. So the sky's the limit, to be honest with you. We have so much going. Eventually, in the next few years, obviously, we're going to be hoping to build our own cultural and heritage center where we can invite people to come and learn more about who we are as a people. Eventually, obviously, we'd also like to have some, a gift shop or a craft shop where our members who do their crafting and do their beading and things like that can can show off their work. We have some amazing artists in the nation who have just unbelievable works to show. So it's exciting time to be able to start showing those things and being part of this community and tying in with some of the local businesses and working with them. We're already making beautiful partnerships and yeah, again, the sky's the limit. I think Caldwell First Nation has a beautiful future ahead. We just have to really be working together to do it.
I'm so excited to watch the nation and then the community as a whole just grow and thrive together and just become this like wonderful place where people can come from outside of Essex County and see what we're all about.
Absolutely.
Like, it's just, I saw the stuff at Point Pelee. I think you guys are there's incredible things happening. And like I say, I'm so excited to watch it grow and thrive and all of us kind of like weave together as a community and just enjoying everybody for who they are and celebrating all of the differences. And I just love it.
And, you know, in this community, Windsor Essex community, we have so many different nationalities. We've got this amazing multicultural society in the area. And, you know, my thought is in the future, you know, maybe in the next 10 years, we invite the UN down here and say, look, we have 156 nationalities in this area that all work together in harmony. Let's see you do it.
I love that. That's applause worthy there, Daryl. That is a fantastic idea. I love it.
You can't see our face, Daryl, but me and Laura just went like, whoa, what a great idea. Like we were blown away. That's amazing.
That's my hope. I do have big dreams for this area, and I do think it's attainable if we're all kind of focused in that same zone.
We always encourage dreaming big. I think that's what libraries always encourage people to do. That's always, we like to give the tools to make dreams come true.
That's right. Oh, that's good, Brittany. We're going to write that one down.
So I'm going to be hired for the promotion.
Well, thank you so much for giving us some of your time and like educating us. And like, I'm just so happy we had this conversation and you just taught me a whole lot of stuff that I didn't know, Daryl.
Well, I'd be happy to have a talk with you anytime. So please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I will always promote and support libraries, education, big part of life. And I'm a lifelong learner too. So you'll probably see me back in the library shortly to grab some books or as soon as we can get in there in person again.
I was going to say whenever we can open back up again.
We're definitely going to reach out to you, Daryl, for maybe some more programs in the future, because we'd love to highlight this aspect of the community.
For sure. Libraries are for everyone, and libraries are about teaching, and that's who better to teach us, right?
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed this immensely. Both of you are wonderful, and I hope to get to talk to you again.
Thank you so
Daryl.
much.
That was a beautiful interview, Laura.
I think that's my favorite interview so far.
It was so, it's even more now that I'm listening to it again, so much more uplifting, and it feels like a balm on my soul. You know what I mean? Like It feels hopeful.
Oh yeah, big time. Now in Leamington, where there is Caldwell has the Caldwell Nation has like their hall here, and they had a fire going for remembrance for the 215 children that were discovered at Kamloops. And we all know there's going to be more, right? Like this is just the tip of the iceberg. But they had a memorial fire going. I believe it was like 12-hour days, and it was open to anyone who wanted to go. My mom and I went, and we sat there for an hour, and I don't know. It just felt like, for me personally, it just felt like something I needed to do. And then she felt the same way. And the people that were there were super wonderful and very welcoming. And thank you for letting us sit there.
That's so beautiful. Now, Daryl was wonderful in the fact that he gave us some great book recommendations to read for Indigenous voices, and we're going to jump off of that and also give you some recommendations for books of all ages that talk about Indigenous history.
Yeah, there's fiction, nonfiction, there's kids, there's young adult. There stuff everywhere in the library. It's not, you don't have to think it's only just here and there. If you look, it's everywhere, which is awesome.
And feel free to check out our catalog and to do some topic searches, and it should also bring up even more a list of books for you. And if you go through all of these and you still want more, please call your local library branch and we would be happy to find more for you that you can check out and bring home.
100%. Or if there's something that you're looking for and you don't see it in our catalog, you can always put in a request for it. And something else that I found helpful when I was looking for extra titles for this episode, if you go on Chapter's website, they actually have a really excellent way they have that organized, and it's all different genres as well.
Yeah, Chapter's as top-notch in their organization of topics. You can find so many different things on there, and that'll help you pull titles to go into the catalog because that makes it so much easier.
Yep. So shall we go littles to big?
Yeah, let's do littles to big.
Okay. You go first.
I'm going to go first. I'm going to do like the littlest of the littles. I'm going to give us a board book recommendation. So this is a book, My Heart Fills with Happiness by Monique Gray Smith, and it's illustrated by Julia Fleet. It's a board book. So, of course, we all love board books for the littles because they're so durable. This one is a beautiful story about a young Indigenous girl and just the life that she has with her parents. It has beautiful pictures, beautiful colors, and it shows the culture of Indigenous people. It was also, very interestingly enough, published in both English and Cree. So I think that's super exciting to see more books published in Indigenous languages.
I love that little board book. It's so cute.
It is the cutest. Do you have a board book recommendation, Laura?
I do. Same author. It's called When We Are Kind.
Oh.
She has a ton of books across the system. Monique Gray Smith has a lot of stuff out there. She's wonderful. If you're looking for an Indigenous author, give her a look up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll go a little bit higher. This one is an easy book, so it's and it's a little bit of an older in the easy book section. But parents, if you're looking for a book to sit down with your child to have a conversation about our history with Indigenous people in this country, and of course the most recent news about what was discovered in British Columbia, I think this is the book you should sit down with them with. It's called I Am Not a Number by Dr. Jenny K. Dupus and Kathy Kacer. It is a book about, the author is writing about her grandmother who was sent to a residential school, and it's about her experience there. And it's called I Am Not a Number due to the fact that when Indigenous children arrived at this school, they were registered there by numbers. So they lost their name and they were referred to by a number. So it talks about that experience. It talks about cutting their hair and punishing them when they spoke their native language. It hits all the hard topics, but it is done in a very respectful way, and it is explained very well to children. So I think if you're looking for a way to talk to kids about that, I think this book really is the one you should pick.
It's a really good one. Actually, my son's in grade 7 and his teacher read that to them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So, because when I brought it home, because I read it and I said, you guys need to read this to my 13-year-old and my 11-year-old, and my 13-year-old said, the teacher Ms. O already read it to us. And I said, well, that's good then. I said, did you get something from it? And he's like, yeah, I did. So then I had my daughter read it, and she really absorbed it too. I feel like it's an excellent one. I think it's an important one for littles. It's
incredibly important. Do you have any ECs you'd like to recommend, Laura?
I think you stole all my easies, Brittany.
Did I steal them? I got one more for you, though.
Oh, excellent.
I have, this one's a little lighter. It's a beautiful, easy book called Go Show the World, A Celebration of Indigenous Heroes by Juan Kinew. And it is a book that showcases Indigenous heroes throughout history. So it goes back to the Civil War, it goes back to World War I, World War II, and it covers all the things that Indigenous people did to help this country. And the art in it is beautiful. It is it is a bigger in size easy book, so you really get to see the details and the beauty of the art is, and it is a lovely read to kind of showcase Indigenous culture.
I did have that one on my list. I totally missed it because I have another one by Bob Kinew, but it was an adult one. I was like, oh, I have that one. So I've got a couple of JUVs, and these ones are fiction, and they are both, I believe, like they're mysteries. David Robertson, The Barren Grounds. That's a newer one. I think that's a 2019 or a 2020 release. And The Case of Windy Lake, which is by Michael Hutchinson. Those are both JUV books with Indigenous main characters and Indigenous authors.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I have one JUV book on my list. I am a fan of the Dear Canada series, Laura.
Me too.
I read them as a kid, and I love seeing when more come into the library. And this one is Dear Canada, These Are My Words, The Residential School Diary of Violet Pesheens by Ruby Slipperjack. And it is a story, once again, about a young Indigenous girl who is brought to a residential school and about her experience there. And it is a great way to talk to your kids about it. And it is a JUV book, which means, you're looking at the ages of like 9 to 12.
Yeah, I actually just read that one a couple weeks ago. I hadn't read that one yet. Did you know that Ruby Slipperjack wrote 2 other ones in the Dear Canada series?
No.
Yeah, there's 2 other ones. I think there's a Christmas one and another one that she's part of.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I need to look those up and read them. So I read a JUV nonfiction. It's called Treaty Words. It's by Aimee Craft. It's really, really good. It is a story that is passed down from a grandfather to her granddaughter, and he teaches her about what a treaty is. And it's not what maybe you think it is, but it's just the agreement that they had between the Indigenous people and nature and how they could live together. And that was the treaty that they got, right? Is that's how they lived together. They figured out a way to work it, and that's how they lived together. And that's how they thought that would be with the white man, but that wasn't exactly how, of course it was. That was not how it worked out. But this was an excellent book. I loved it. It's a really skinny, it's a quick read, but it's a beautiful read. And I think it's an important one too.
And the art is beautiful in it.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous book. Mm-hmm. And it's a newer one too, because the spine hadn't even been broken on that one. Yeah, I think I snagged that one quick.
A rare find in the library.
That's true.
Do you have any adults? Let's do teen. Do we have some teen books?
Yes, I have 2 teen books. The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulay, I think is how you say it. I'm not 100% sure. And The Marrow Thieves by Sherry Dimeline. And they're both along our lines of YAs, Brittany, like the fantasy, a little bit, the speculative genre.
Lovely. And for those who are maybe, frivolously writing down these titles, I will have all of them, including the authors' names and such, in the show notes for you. So if you want to go back and pick any of these up, all that information will be there for you, just as a heads up.
Brittany's always very organized, so don't fear. She'll always make sure that she's got you covered in the notes.
Any adults, Laura?
Oh, I've got a load of adult books. So I have been not immersing, but I've been trying to immerse myself more in some reading nonfiction, because it's not generally my go-to, because it's a little bit heavier of a read and it's harder because it's not always a story, right? Mm-hmm. Are you a big nonfiction reader?
I'm not. It's actually a goal of mine is to try to read more nonfiction.
Yes, so that's kind of where I'm coming at too. So a lot of these are nonfiction, and I've been working my way through slowly, because I'm a quick reader, but not in nonfiction, because you can't skim nonfiction.
No.
You can skim fiction, but you cannot skim nonfiction and then do it justice. So one of the ones I just read was The Education of Augie Merasty, and that's by Joseph Auguste Merasty. It is a biography. It's a very small book. It's only about 75 pages, and it is about Augie's time in a residential school. It's not an uplifting book at all. It opens your eyes. It makes you sad. It makes you angry. This is a collection of stories that Augie wrote to the author, and I don't even have that down there because he's not listed as the author, but he compiled everything together. He compiled the stories together. So it's a first-hand account of living in a residential school back in the 50s. I highly recommend that one. Another one that I have on my shelf that I've just started is Call Me Indian, and that's by Fred Sassakamoose. And Fred Sassakamoose, he passed away in 2020, but he actually was the first Indigenous hockey player on the NHL.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and he went from residential school to NHL player.
That's amazing.
Yeah, really. And it's an interesting story so far. And it's a brand new one. I think it's just a 14-day, and it's on the top of the chapter's bestsellers too. It's a really popular one. And so you were telling me about Go Show the World. Well, Wab Kinew wrote another one called The Reason You Walk. I have not read that one, but I know that has gone around a lot. That was a very popular one. I want to say about 7 years ago or so. That's an older one. Alicia Elliott wrote A Mind Spread Out on the Ground. That's a newer one as well. And I had another one, Speaking Our Truth by Monique Gray Smith. And that one is a JUV one. I should have said that one earlier. But that one is excellent. If you want to delve into it, it's got a lot of photographs, and each section is very clearly articulated, and you can go through that just section at a time on your own, or you could with one of your older kids. It's a great learning tool, that one.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And do you have some to add?
You know what, Laura? That's my list.
That's your list? Okay, well, I have some fictions to throw in there, too.
Oh, well, there you go.
I've been, like I said, I've been immersing myself in these things lately. So Eden Robinson also is actually in Canada, a famous author. We don't generally have lots of famous authors. You think Margaret Atwood all the time, but she's not the only Canadian author. Eden Robinson wrote the Trickster trilogy. So that was up for one of the awards, I think a GG. I read the first one. It's an interesting book. I like it. I don't find Canadian authors are always really uplifting and stuff, so they usually go in there knowing it's not going to be like awesome happy ending on any of those. But it was an excellent book, and it talks about the different lore of the trickster and whatnot. It's really good. Another one was Thomas King, An Inconvenient Indian, and he has a follow-up book to that, and it's called Indians on Vacation, and that one is actually that one's brand new this year too. It's also on the there's a holds list for that one as well.
And the Inconvenient Indian is the one that was recommended by Daryl as well, so definitely put that one at the top of your list.
And then Richard Wagamese, he's got a few of them. Indian Horse and Medicine Walk are two of his fiction works, and he also has a nonfiction work called One Drum, and I believe all those are actually in Leamington. Nice. So we've got a good little list there for you to get started with.
Absolutely. And I know they're, as Laura said, a lot of these books can be, they're dark, they're sad, they make you angry. I remember I would read them and I would feel such anger for them, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be reading them. It certainly means that you don't have to, of course, read all of them at once. You should always take care of you, but there's, it is so important that we continue to educate ourselves on this so that we can do better.
Yes, because we have to remember history, right? So that we don't make the same mistakes again.
Yeah.
We need to know what we're all capable of. And the one thing that we are very much all capable of is better.
Absolutely. So all these books are going to be in the show notes. So feel free to check those out and check them out in the system. And, let us know if you have a favorite among them. We love to know the ones that you guys liked.
Yes, because if there's one that we missed and you think it's a real spotlight one, let us know for sure.
Yes, give us the ones we've missed. Those are the ones we really want.
Exactly. Okay, so let's segue on. I think we're just about at the end of our time here, but let's just talk about what's going on about town, Britt.
Well, Laura, as I said, Ontario just hit stage 1 of opening.
Yay!
Yeah, that means, for all those who desperately were missing their winners, you can go out now. Actually, I heard there was quite a line.
You can go stand in line for like 3 hours.
I heard there was a line. My dad tried going to Costco, and it was around the building out onto the street, he said.
Now, Brittany well knows I am the thrift store-aholic, And I drove by there yesterday and there was a line like, no, I don't love it that much.
No. Yeah, I'm probably going to wait a little bit and get those lines to calm down before I go out. But I can tell many people were very excited to have the stores opened again.
And that's a wonderful thing. But I'm not waiting in line for anything unless it's at Disney World. I don't need anything that badly.
Exactly.
But yay for moving forward.
Absolutely.
And that's awesome. And my parents and my in-laws are all double vaxxed now.
Oh, my dad just got his second vaccination.
Yay! So we're big vaxxers here. So, you know, if you're not, that's your thing, but we are. So we are very excited for the people that we love to be fully vaccinated.
It's very exciting to see it roll out. I'm watching all the dates to see when I can go and jump in and get mine.
Yes, because as you well know, that needle needs to move 10 days so that Laura can go get her second vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for that. I'm just excited that it's spring. It's still spring, but it's nice weather. It's time to move forward, and let's put COVID in our rearview mirror.
Absolutely. I feel like we've hit the end. We're at the end of the tunnel, you know? We're stepping out into the sunshine.
I hope so. I sure hope so.
I sure hope so too, Laura.
And the patios are open, so that's awesome. I'm not going anytime soon, but that's awesome because I've seen they're packed. People are happy. I hope that maybe then people aren't not going to be so quick to be perturbed about everything. I know I was going down that road as well. I understand it's been taxing on everybody's mental health. So I hope if you do go to a store and or a patio that you are extra kind to the people who work in there and don't rip their heads off.
Absolutely.
Because no one ever likes that.
We always like to encourage kindness.
Yes, very much so.
Absolutely.
And we want to let you know that we are in phase 1 now, but your friendly faces at the library you will not see until phase 3. So hopefully we get there right quick.
Absolutely. But when phase 3 comes, you will see our friendly faces again, and it'll be most exciting.
And you can air hug us or give us like an air high five or whatnot, because we know you're going to be so happy to be back in here, and we're going to be so happy to see all of you again.
We're going to be so excited. And if you're enjoying this podcast, we are planning a little bit of a couple more episodes before we take a little bit of a summer break, and we have some really exciting stuff planned.
Oh, we caught the big fish this time for a guest, Brittany.
Well, you guys know, because we always talk about my mom.
Yes.
So now we're going to bring Laura's mom.
Yep. She agreed to come and be a guest on our podcast here, and that should be pretty fun. She's a pro at some of these things, you know? She
was just on a show the other day, wasn't she, Laura?
She was. She was actually on Coffee with Craner, so if anyone here is familiar with Essex County podcasts, I can't remember what his first name is, but Craner, he does podcasts with different personalities all around Essex County. He's from Amherstburg, and he's really great. I love watching. He gets all different kinds of people, and he asks great questions, and he's kind of what we want to model ourselves after to get our interview skills down pat.
Absolutely.
Now, we don't have to interview her, I don't think.
I don't think so. I don't think she's going to make it that hard on us.
Yeah, no. We're going to see if she'll come in and guest host with us since she's fully vaxxed.
Absolutely.
We'll try.
We're going to try. So we're going to have 2 more cooking challenges for you. Mm-hmm. We're thinking 3 more episodes for over the summer. And then we're hoping, crossing all fingers, knock on wood, that we see you guys again in the fall.
That would be awesome, and we'll come back with all new recommendations for you and all new cooking, and Brittany is going to work on all of her cooking skills over the summer, so we'll be doing like some cordon bleu work.
Yes, creme brulee.
Ooh, I don't like creme brulee.
I don't even know what it is.
Oh, well, don't waste your time.
Okay, great. It just sounded like that would take some skills. I was like, that's what we'll do.
It sounded fancy. We got to just get you some measuring spoons first.
The liquid measuring cups, you think I should? Oh, no, it's not. Those are not the ones I need.
No, you need the dry measuring cups.
The dry measuring cups.
And you need the spoons, too.
All things to improve on over the summer.
That's all right. We can get you there.
Absolutely.
So we hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast. Again, if you are looking for any of the things that we mentioned, you're going to just go down to the bottom of the page and click on the show notes, and all of the titles that we mentioned and authors should be there for you.
And we hope to see you. We will talk to you again in a couple of weeks.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.